Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. Oman oil prices falls to $27.92 per barrel. State General Reserve Fund achieves annual revenues of more than 7%, and most of its investments are in the circulated assets. And the minister responsible of foreign affairs discusses the latest developments in the region with the Iraqi foreign minister. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. Oman oil price March delivery reached $27.92 per barrel. Dubai Mercantile Exchange statement today said that the price of Oman oil declined $2.80 from the price of yesterday, which was $30.72. The average price of Oman oil January delivery 2016 has stabilized at $42.28, scoring $3.75 per barrel, lower than December delivery 2015. Investments of the State General Reserve Fund focus on assets of traded public markets by 65 to 85% and achieved an annual revenue of 7%. The following report illustrates more.
The State General Reserve Fund made remarkable advancements since its establishment in 1980 in its investment strategy to achieve its goals as per international practices and accomplishing annual revenues surpassing 7%. Investments of the fund focus on assets of traded public markets by 65 to 85% and non-traded private markets by 15 to 35%. The fund maintained a good performance of growth amounted to more than 7% during 2014 on the level of public markets in global stocks, portfolios and bonds, despite the severe decline in oil prices in the last quarter of the year. It had a good performance on the level of private markets in the portfolio of direct and indirect investments with a rate of 8%. 30% of the fund's investments headed to advanced American countries and 28% to advanced European countries. The fund signed many agreements between the Sultanate and world countries, some of which the Memorandum of Understanding with Tanzania and China to develop a port and free economic zone in Bagamoyo, and another Memorandum of Understanding with 21 countries to establish the Asian Investment Bank for Infrastructure and setting up a joint fund with Spain to invest in Spanish companies. The fund further made around 20 new investments during 2014, such as its direct contribution in 4 internal investments as part of its domestic initiatives, mainly Glass Point project for solar energy production and the establishment of Oman Pronai Aircraft Leasing Company, Muscat National Company for Development and Investment, in addition to Small and Medium Enterprises Development Fund.
Exchange of points of view on regional and international issues as well as on the recent developments in the area were at the focus of a meeting of His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, with His Excellency Ibrahim al-Jafari, Foreign Minister of Iraq, who is on an official visit to the Sultanate. They also discussed aspects of cooperation between the Sultanate and Iraq. Still to come in our news bulletin. In what was a popular roadside attraction in Florida has now become harder to keep its tradition alive. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. Muscat Securities Market General Index lost 25.4 points, comprising a decline by 0.47% to close at 5,365.15 points, compared to the last session, which stood at 5,390.52 points. The trading value today stood at 3.54 million Omani riyals, making a rise compared to the last session, which stood at 1.78 million Omani riyals. The report released by MSM pointed out that the market value fell by 0.25% to reach about 15.79 billion Omani riyals. The report added that the values of shares bought by non-Omani investors reached 741,000 Omani riyals, comprising 20.92%. The value of shares sold by non-Omani investors reached 665,000 Omani riyals, comprising 18.79%. Soil-less agriculture is a modern technique followed by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth in producing vegetables in greenhouses, particularly in Al Batna plain, which has been affected by salinity. This technique saves huge quantities of water and reduces the use of pesticides and fertilizers. It also accelerates and increases productivity. House of Heritage and Culture Museum in the Wilaya of Al-Qabil in the Governorate of North Sharqiya contains artifacts that reflect the lifestyle of Omanis in the past. Such artifacts include currencies, stamps, utensils, manuscripts, wooden doors, and traditional weapons. The museum also has a library that includes around 4,000 books, magazines, and short stories. The library is equipped with tables and chairs. In light of the development witnessed by modern communication means and what came with it, the rapid access to information, books are still a safe and credible source of information. A library is considered one of the main pillars that plays a vital role in providing an attractive environment for reading. Citizens in the Wilaya of Al-Buraimi established a public library in order to encourage citizens in the governorate to read. It includes a large number of books in various fields like history, religion, literature, chemistry, and many other collections. Once upon a time, Florida was a land of alligator wrestlers, but today some natives say it has become harder to keep the tradition alive, with fewer of them getting into this risky job. Here is a report.
Few people would dare to climb onto an alligator's back. Pharaoh Gales is one of them.
Now, if I'm by myself,
He's a gator wrestler in South Florida, a tradition that his native ancestors have practiced for generations.
Miccosukis and Seminoles came up with a technique called bulldogging. I'm going to hold the jaw shut with my chin and chest.
Gales shows the skills used by the Seminole and Miccosukee Indians to catch alligators, which became a Florida attraction in the early 1900s.
The natives found out that the tourists were very interested in what was going on. They wanted to take pictures with the gator, they wanted to touch the gator, they wanted to watch them catch the gator because it was very interesting. So interesting that, there was large groups of people throwing money to see this, and eventually it turned into a show.
Today's wrestlers still bring in crowds, but fewer natives are getting into this risky job, choosing instead to study and pursue careers in modern society.
That one, it happened about 60 years ago.
Rocky Jim Jr. carries the scars of a lifetime in such a dangerous profession. Of 600 tribe members, he says he's the only Miccosukee doing wrestling. Now he's retiring and hopes someone will take up the mantle.
It's kind of hard to convince people to do a show, so it's we're kind of losing the tradition right now.
We're more concerned about the safety and not abusing the animals, and we're not really wrestling. It's more handling techniques that we're demonstrating to people to show how, as you approach an alligator, it'll swing its tail one way to try to get you, swing its head to try to get you, jump towards you to try to get you, and how you can easily walk around, maneuver, and handling them.
Lessons that wrestlers say play an important role in a state with over 1 million alligators.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with low clouds and fog of the governorates of Buraymi, Zahara, and South and North Sharqiya. Winds will be north to northwesterly, light to moderate, occasionally active. Seas will be moderate along the coast of the Sea of Oman with a maximum wave height of 2 meters, while it will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Oman oil price falls to $27.92 US per barrel. State General Reserve Fund achieves annual revenues of more than 7%, and most of its investments are in the circulated assets. And the minister responsible of foreign affairs discusses the latest developments in the region with the Iraqi foreign minister. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.